Okay, we're going to talk about the assembly of the 4S SOC module version 1.2 and the way I assemble it. So this is just a direction of how to do it, but it's not necessarily the way you have to do it, but it's an example of what I do. So the first thing I do is I use IC foots or IC sockets, because I want to be able to get the LED bar graphs off of the PCB, and also the ICs if something goes wrong or you made a mistake, or in case they just die. So the first thing what I do is put all the IC sockets in place like this, like this, like this. Oh, wrong. And like this, yes. So that is 20 pins, and now the 18 pins for the IC. Let's get this in place. It's not easy doing. Yeah. That way. So to get the PCB turned around, I'm gonna take another PCB which I have laying around. It doesn't have to be PCB, piece of cardboard, it doesn't matter what you take, but whatever suits you. So I put this away here, we put this away there, we take the PCB, put another PCB on top of it, turn it around, lay it back where it should be, slip it from underneath there, and if everything is good, it's all in place. Get this out of the way, and now start soldering all the pins. Normally what I do is I press it down, point it at one, and solder it. Take the other one, solder it. Whoa, this is hot on my finger because this is a gas powered solder iron, and the exhaust was burning my finger. And now do this for all the others. I will speed it up in a few seconds so you don't have to watch the whole scene for another 5 minutes or more. Another advantage of this way with the IC sockets is you don't heat up the components, so you can't damage them by overheating or whatever goes wrong. Needed to change this a bit. Okay, so what we did so far, as you can see, the ICs are all in place. I'll finish it up later because otherwise this is going to take a long time to do so. The next thing I do, at least what I do, is put the dip switch in place. Same thing, turn it around, lay it down, and start soldering over again. You could also use an IC socket for this one, but as I think I'm not going to use this switch much, so it's not going to tear or get used, or you know how many clicks it can do. So I soldered this one straight on the board. Push it down a little bit. Yeah, that should stick. Same thing on this side. Good, I don't like it. Heat it up a little bit more. Yeah. Oh. And the dip switch is also in place. Next thing what I do, at least what I do, is get those fuse holders in place. What I do now is turn up the heat a bit of the solder iron, put a little bit of solder on the pad, put a little bit of solder on the fuse holder. That's it. Nope, that's not it. Yes. When that is done, get it in place. And now, due to the fact that the fuse holder is the path to solder it is a little bit bigger, it should be easier. So let's see what that gives. And that works a lot better. Now the only thing we have to do is get the other side on it, heat it up, add some solder, and that's it. Just make sure the other side, because I think, yeah, it's okay, but to make sure, heat it up a little bit more and get some more solder in there, and that should be fine. And that's the fuse holder, which is not going anywhere anymore. The next thing what I do is get the header in place. In this case I use the 12 pin or 2x6 pin, so I don't have to mind or bear in mind the extra pin for the data communication, which is not still there, but for this case, for the 4S, you can buy one from BetGo. Now I balance it a little bit with another header on the other side and solder it again. Oh, moved a little bit. I think I'd have to turn up the heat a bit more, because my solder iron is not as hot as I thought. Yeah, push it in so it's straight in the way it should be. That's it. Now the other side. Push it in, and that's it. For the moment I'll leave it like that so you get an idea of how I am building up the PCB. So what you can see now is already what we got. The next thing we do is we're going to put in the resistors. So we take a resistor. What we do is we just bend this side like this side like that. This is a 3K resistor, and I put it in this spot here. In this case this is R5. This is the resistor needed in case you use it as 1 bar readout. That means only one LED will light up to show you the state of charge or the balance between the state of charge of the cell and what is the balance between them. Okay, that sounds a bit ridiculous, but you get it. The other side, I bend it over a little bit, solder it, well, this is hard again. I need to put my hand on the other side. Heat up, come on boys. Yeah. The other side. You need to do this 4 times. When you did it 4 times, you can just get the extras off because you don't need it. You can use it for a fuse later or in another case. So this is the resistor, the 3K resistor in place. Then we have another 3K resistor. You do the same thing. Bend one end of this, bend the other side, put it in place. Turn over the board. Again, solder it 4 times. Whoa, hot again. It's not easy filming and doing it the way you want to do it with a camera in front of your nose. So this is soldered. Same thing again. Cut away the legs, which are too long. Next step, what I do is, in this case, take a diode. The diode is at 4148, which we'll soon find out what it's going to do, and if it's going to do what it's meant to do. Turn over the board, put it in place. I hope I bent it right, not quite as good as I wanted it. Yeah. It's not always filmed good, but you will get the idea. You can solder it yourself too. And solder it again. The other side. You have to bear in mind the diode has a black stripe, and that is the direction of which the current flows. But you can also see on the PCB, let me see if I can show you, on the PCB, like for instance here, G2, there's a little stripe, and the black side of the diode has to be that way. So the current flows in the way it should go. Once you've done this, you take the trim pots. In my case I use trim pots, but as you can see here on the board, let me take the screwdriver again, I made it possible to put in trim pots. They are all 50K, and you can also choose to take in these places resistors of your value you need for the readout you want. I've put a small table on there on the back, and these numbers are for the 3 volt to 4.2 volt in case of lithium ion diodes, and if it's LiFePO, it's for 2.5 volt up to 3.2 volt. But this board is made for the top LED to be the overcharge LED indicator. I also put this one here for lithium ion. These are the values I've seen on Jehu's testing of the board, but I like to use bigger values of resistors. That's also the case why I changed the trim pots, because normally this one was 5K, but they are now 50K. This reduces the energy one LED uses, and overall it makes the consumption of your SOC module lower. But now I'm gonna put in, as I said, I like to use the trim pots. So I put in the trim pot in place. It doesn't matter how you put it in there, you can put it with a screw. Let me see, oh, I bent a little bit the legs. You can put it in like this, or the other way around. It really doesn't matter how you do it. You can turn them around as much as you want. The function of it will be the same. So each channel needs 2, so 4 times 2 is 8 trim pots. Or in case you want to use resistors, you just take resistors and of the appropriate value, which you can see in the table, or if you want to take some others, you can take these in there. Turn it or flip it around. Oh, forgotten to cut away the diodes. Get rid of that. And now solder the trim pot in place. This is a little bit difficult to get in place, but to make it easy, you just solder one pin. Let's see, one pin here, one pin, oh, hopped again, and one pin here. And if you want to put it a bit in its place, the easiest way, I hope you can see it, I just push it in place while I heat it up, and when I turn it around it should be well in place. Same thing for the second one, and again same story. If you have 8 of these trim pots, you have to do it 8 times, 3 legs, and that's it. And once you have all this done, oh, what I forgotten to mention, you can see here, let me see if I can zoom in or if you can see it, this thing here, 1S, 2S, and it goes on 3S, 4S, and in case of the 7S, that is the jumper, or this one is just made up to solder. If you solder that together, you get a full readout. That means if the voltage goes up, one by one a LED bar goes up until they all light up. If you don't solder it together, it's 1 bar readout, and I like to have 1 bar readout because then it uses, first of all, it consumes less energy, and secondly, it's easier to see from a distance what is the state of charge. Of course, if you look from a distance, it's not so easy to see how much percent of your battery is drained or low charged, but it's just a choice you have to make, but you can do it yourself. So if you solder that 1S together, so the jumper GP1, 1S, I mean jumper 1, GP1, GP2, GP3, GP4, if you solder those together, you will have a full readout. That means that all the LEDs will light up if your battery is charged, and as your battery is discharged, yeah, they're all out. Or if you go under the 2.5 volt, in my case, they're all out. What you need to do then is, once you have soldered everything as it should be, which I will do later, and I show you a picture what it is or how it looks like and the way it works, that's another video. Now what you have to do is put in place the this one here, the 10 bar LED multi-color LED bar graph, or how do you call it. What I like to do, because the problem with the IC socket is that these corners, I hope you can see it here, these corners are a bit too high. So watch it if you cut it away, because if you're not careful, you can cut away one of those pins. But you don't have to do this if you just solder it straight on the board. It doesn't matter, but I use the IC sockets and I would like to have a better connection. So again, cut away very carefully the corner 4 times, same here and same here. Okay, when you did that, in this case the plus side is on the side where the numbers are, if you follow the link where I bought it, and you just put it in place. It's not easy to do it from the other side of the camera. Get them aligned properly, and if you feel it's not that easy, oh, as I told you, it's a little bit of fussing around, and I'm not completely comfortable with a camera in front of me. It restricts my movement, but I got it. So the LED bar graph is in place, and the other thing then I have to do is take the IC and get that one in place. But as you can see now, it's best to put the IC first in place and then the LED bar graphs, because then you will get in your own way with the height of the LED. So start over again. First you put the IC in place, all 4 of them in this case, and then the LED bar graph. I'm not going to do that because I need to solder everything, and then it's not good the way I show it you. But this is just to get you an idea how I made this PCB. So in the next video I will show how it works and what the consumption of all this is and what it does.